All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, everybody feels like they can disrespect us because we allow it. And you can't allow somebody to come in and disrespect your women, disrespect your children, disrespect your elderly, or disrespect the men either. But no matter what everybody else does to us, we're so quick to forgive them. But when it comes to our own, we find every excuse not to. And they did a good job of beating that mindset into us. But we're not as far away to being on code as they would like us to believe. Just here in America, we've done it time and time again. But this time, we just have to be prepared for their retaliation because it's their job to keep us in this position by any means necessary. But every step of the way, we have always fought back. Back in 1917 in Chester, Pennsylvania, a race riot broke out after a white man disrespected a black woman and a black man came to her defense. Now, this white dude, William McKinney, started everything when he was passing two black men and two black women on the street. Now, as he was passing them, he made a disrespectful comment to one of the black women. And when one of the black men stood up for her, they ended up getting into a fight. Now, during the fight, the black man ended up stabbing the white boy to death. So then they ended up arresting his brother. And the mob of several hundred people started marching the street trying to get revenge on his brother. And they started attacking any black person they saw, man, woman, or child. They were stopping cars, pulling out black people and beating them up. And at least 80 people got injured, some severely. Now, the lynch mob kept attacking the black community throughout the week until black residents finally got fed up and started fighting back. Now, as soon as black people started fighting back, then the police got involved. And over 360 people were arrested and brought to trial, mostly black people. By the end of the riot, 4 people were killed and hundreds were injured. But the black community realized that the violence would continue until they fought back. And as soon as they fought back, that's when the violence ended. Now, they don't necessarily have lynch mobs like they used to, but they can still be as violent as they want to be. But as soon as you fight back, now you're crossing the line. Now it's time for forgiveness and everything is in the past. But then they still turn around and kill you and make up any excuse and justify it. In Kansas City, a brother, Terrance Bridges, who was unarmed, was shot and killed by Kansas City police. Now let's try to figure out exactly what happened to this brother.
We do begin in Kansas City, Missouri, where a domestic situation ends with police killing a man. The shooting happened at Bell Fountain and Gregory. 41 Action News reporter Jordan Betts has the story.
Overnight chaos in Kansas City. It all started with a call to police that there was a domestic violence situation involving a gun.
The calling party relayed quite a chaotic scene. They said that there were several people out on the street fighting.
Witnesses say a potentially armed man arrived at a home on the street and started to fight another man and woman.
The altercation involved what was believed to be a kidnapping attempt, as well as a carjacking attempt.
The victim fought off the suspect, and the potentially armed man got away with stealing a car, returning minutes later.
The officer that was there by himself tried to take that subject into custody at that point. He ran from the officer and resisted attempts to be taken into custody.
The two struggled. That's when the officer shot him.
Officers rendered first aid to the subject, and EMS responded here to the scene. They transported him to the hospital, where he was pronounced deceased by medical personnel there at the hospital.
Neighbors off camera told us the man was shot on the sidewalk in front of this house. This is the second officer-involved shooting with KCPD this year. In 2018, they had 15 officer-involved shootings, and some were deadly. Due to department policy, the officer is now taken off patrol.
Routine administrative leave for the purposes of conducting the investigation to gather all of the information and all of that, and that is 100% routine in cases like this.
They covering it up. I want answers. Period. I want answers.
A mother shares her painful plea for answers tonight, less than 24 hours after her son was shot and killed in a struggle with a Kansas City police officer. The KCPD and Jackson County Prosecutor's Office are investigating what led up to that fatal exchange just after midnight. Tonight, KCTV5's Caroline Sweeney met the man's grieving family as they begged for answers and shares what we know so far.
Shooting, police are on scene, 2 security 4.
I was yelling across the street like, Million, don't give up, Million, don't give up.
Overnight, this quiet neighborhood near 71 Highway was anything but.
Call says the female came to the house and asked for a call 911.
This is Terrance Bridges.
It said, pow.
He was shot by police after midnight Sunday morning. Bridges moved to Kansas City from Chicago 7 months ago.
He got killed for nothing. They took his life for nothing.
Right now, police say they were called to Bell Fountain because of a domestic disturbance. Bridges allegedly stole a car at gunpoint, left, and came back. Then, police say he ran when they tried to arrest him.
Kansas City, Missouri police say Terrance Bridges ran the length of this block, nearly 480 feet, before he was shot.
For them to just take his life like that, I need answers. I need proof. I need something.
Police in the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office are investigating. Police say Bridges did have a gun. The family disagrees.
He wasn't armed. He wasn't a threat. I need answers. That's my child. They murdered him.
The officer was stationed at Metro Patrol. They were not hurt. The prosecutor's office tells KCTV5 News a special unit inside KCPD will investigate.
So the police said they were called to a domestic disturbance with a gun involved. And when the police got there, they said a woman told them that a man was trying to break into their home and then stole her car and kidnapped her husband. So then the police said two of them went looking for the stolen car. And one of the cops, Dylan Pifer, stayed behind. So then a few minutes later, this brother Terrance Bridges comes walking back on the scene. Now keep in mind, the police are looking for somebody that stole a car and kidnapped somebody. But they claim this brother who came back a few minutes later walking was one of the suspects, even though he came back to the scene without a car or even the car keys. And then without any evidence, the cop Dylan Pifer tried to arrest him. But the cop claimed his brother took off running. So then the cop said when he caught up to him and tried to arrest him, they got into a struggle. And he said after they got into an altercation, he had no other choice but to open fire on his brother. Now they tried to say this brother Terrance Bridges had a gun, but his family said that isn't true. And the police aren't really clear about their story or what evidence they have. And their story doesn't even really make sense.
The family of a man shot and killed by a Kansas City police officer say you haven't been told the truth about his death, and they're demanding changes. The Kansas City Police Department insists it has not misled anyone about the death of Terrance Bridges. KCTV5's Emily Rittman reports on the family's plea for action and the police department's reaction.
What we know is that Terrance Bridges was shot to death by a Kansas City, Missouri police officer on May 26th. His family is challenging the police account of what happened leading up to that.
Wake up! Yeah. Wake up! Too many people in our community are being murdered.
His family says Terrance Bridges moved here to escape the violence that was taking place in Chicago. Kansas City police say just after midnight on May 26th, officers responded to a report of an armed disturbance. A woman at a home on Bell Fountain told police a man had kidnapped her husband and carjacked their car. Several 911 callers told dispatchers a man with a gun forced his way into a home. While police were investigating, officers say Bridges returned a short time later. That's when an officer tried to arrest him. Bridges ran and the officer shot him.
I just pray we get justice.
Today, his family returned to the scene where he died. They say Bridges did not have a gun. Police have not said whether they found a weapon. So far, they are only confirming that initial reports stated that Bridges was armed.
An officer shot Mr. Bridges with no prior interaction, to our knowledge, not even a command. Mr. Bridges did not have a weapon on him. If this happened among two people in the street, this would be called murder.
Due to the ongoing Jackson County prosecutors' investigation into the shooting, police say they cannot discuss specific details about the shooting itself, which would include what interaction happened between Bridges and the officer prior to the shooting. Bridges' father says the family just wants answers.
I hear a few different stories, and all we're asking for is justice, answers, and most of all, I just want the truth, so I can have a peace of mind at night.
A cousin of another man shot and killed by police 2 years ago says it's time for the community to pay attention.
This is happening right here in your city, and it seems like you don't even care.
In a written statement, Kansas City police say no police officer ever wants to be put in a situation in which they must decide whether to use deadly force.
In that statement, the police department said, quote, "We understand the grief that the family of Terrance Bridges feel, saying their pain is real." They went on to say there has been no attempt to mislead the public. The Jackson County Prosecutor's Office is still reviewing the shooting and will determine if the shooting was justified or not.
Now, the cop Dylan Pifer claimed he and his brother got into a physical altercation. But it turns out there is no evidence that ever happened. And there's audio of this brother saying he doesn't have anything, and then asking why he was shot. And when the cop made it seem like this brother was attacking him, Terrance Bridges said, "I never attacked you," seconds before he died. Then on top of that, it turns out it was never a robbery. This brother Terrance Bridges and his girlfriend got into an argument. And as his brother was leaving in the car that he and his girlfriend share, one of his neighbors called the police. There was no gun, there was no robbery. But within 30 seconds of this brother walking back, coming on foot, despite being accused of stealing a car, he was shot and killed by this cop. This cop never ID'd himself and never even gave him any verbal commands. But he claimed his brother took off running and then they got into a fight before he shot him. And after just a 9-day paid vacation, this cop Dylan Pifer is right back on the streets patrolling.
An officer shot and killed Terrance Bridges back in May after police went to 70th and Bell Fountain in Kansas City on a call about a domestic disturbance between Bridges and his girlfriend. The officer who shot Bridges said he thought Bridges had a weapon, but no weapon was ever found at the scene. Court documents show the officer did not identify himself or tell Bridges to put his hands up before firing. A grand jury declined to indict the officer, and prosecutor Jean Peters Baker said she does not have enough evidence or witnesses to file charges against the officer. Bridges' father says he still hopes for justice in his son's death.
He's gone, and the fact of me being a dad, I can't do anything, I'm not trying to do anything as far as, I'm trying to react as far as get revenge, but, some type of justice should be served, and it hurts, it really hurts. I just want that officer to put himself in my shoes. That's it.
The officer who killed Bridges still works for KCPD in patrol. Terrance Bridges Sr. says the family is now considering filing a civil lawsuit.
A grand jury has decided not to indict a Kansas City police officer who shot and killed a man in May. Terrance Bridges was killed near 70th and Bell Fountain. KCTV5's Betsy Webster just spoke with his mother, and she joins us now live from the courthouse. Betsy?
Well, Brad, she says she was heartbroken by the grand jury's decision, which was made even worse by the fact that because it was a grand jury, by state law, those proceedings were private, closed. So she won't get the answers she'd been waiting for, and we won't know what evidence the grand jury had to inform its decision.
Should have been able to speak in his behalf.
We met up with Britannia McGee at a Comfort Inn. She drove here from Chicago because she knew the case was coming to court here. She didn't know until she got here that she couldn't be a part of that. So when she got a call from the prosecutor's office about the decision today, asking to meet with her, she said no.
I don't feel the need to meet with him for what? Y'all made y'all decision already. It's nothing to talk about.
Her son, Terrance Bridges, was 30 when he was killed by police. He'd moved to KC from Chicago less than a year ago. Police say they came to 70th and Bell Fountain that night on a report of an armed home invasion and carjacking. They say an officer shot him during a struggle when they tried to arrest him. They would not say whether they found a weapon on him or detail the specifics of the struggle that justified the shooting. Last month, social justice leaders rallied, demanding the officer be charged, saying Bridges did not have a gun, questioning the entire police account.
What if somebody out of uniform killed one of them? They going to jail.
This was her 5th visit to KC to make her voice heard. And though she doesn't know exactly how,
I'm going to keep fighting for my son. I'm going to get justice for my son. I'm not stopping right here.
Now, it is worth noting that the very same prosecutor's office, the Jackson County prosecutor, did recently charge a law enforcement officer. She charged a sheriff's deputy in a shooting of a woman who survived. Now, that decision, however, was something that was made by the prosecutor herself. So the evidence that she looked at to make that decision was public. We're still waiting to hear whether she will address why this time she chose a grand jury.
Now, of course, this cop won't face any charges thanks to a secret grand jury. And the prosecutor, Jean Baker, claimed there wasn't enough evidence to charge this cop. Even though this cop lied and his brother wasn't armed, and if he was, that's the first thing they would have said. To them, this one cop coming home is worth all of our lives. But until we can learn how to start defending each other and standing up for each other and learning how to stay on code, then people can target us anytime they want to and get away with it. We are the only ones that can stop that from happening. And at the end of the day, we are all we got. And until we take action by any means necessary, then we're going to experience the same thing over and over and over again.
On BART. I'm on the
You're not on BART.
I just explained to you that you were detained. Go, bro. Did I not? Bro, you are detained and you're not go. Bro, you come up here and with me. You single me out out of all these people. You're eating. Bro, so what? It's against the law. So what? I tried to explain that to you. It's a violation of California law. I have the right to detain you. No, you don't. Yes, I do. Can you please let my backpack go? Are you going to cooperate?
Yeah, we're...
So you cooperate, leave me the alone? You're going to go into jail. I'm not going to jail for eating a sandwich? No, for resisting arrest. I'm not resisting arrest. You are resisting. I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong. You can argue that. I've done nothing wrong. Let my bag go.
Just let
my bag go, bro. What are you... Bro, what are you doing, bro? Let my bag go. Platform is uncooperative. Somebody cover you. Bro, bring them up here then.
Stop.
I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to continue my sandwich, bro. I do this every morning. Every morning, bro. Let my bag go.
Yeah, why is there a store downstairs selling food if we're not allowed to eat up here?
Why is there a store downstairs?
And does it not say on, there's no signs here that mark that we can't eat on the platform? Where is there a sign up here that says we can't eat on the platform? Where is there a sign up here? Where is there a sign up here, sir? Excuse me. Where is a sign up here that says that we can't eat on the platform? We know that we can't eat on the train.
People come up here and eat every day, drinking coffee and all that. Let my bag go, bro. Is there a chance you ain't got no, bro? You ain't got no, bro. You ain't got no reasonable cause to fuck with me. Is there a chance you could allow me to talk, bro? Let go of my bag. You are detained and you're not free to go. I'm not detained. You're gonna end up going to jail. I've done nothing wrong. You are detained. You're under to go into jail, my man. Detained for what? For eating. It's illegal. Fucking violation of California law. I've already said that. Yeah. I do this shit every morning, bro. Watch out.
Just trying to go to work. Trying to go to work, eating a sandwich at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Bro, let my bag go. Do you want to cooperate or not? I've been standing here. I ain't went to work. Let my go. And I asked you for ID. You got no right. I asked you for ID. You don't need my ID. I do. I've done nothing wrong. Dude. I'm not dude.
Where? I don't understand. I didn't know that you can't eat on the platform.
You're not free to go. I'm not saying, bro. I ain't done nothing wrong. You're going to end up going to jail. I've done nothing wrong. But your supervisor. I want to talk to your supervisor. You're welcome to talk to me. Call him.
Can you call him?
Call him.
Can you call him? We need to talk to him. Because we weren't doing anything. Literally just ate a sandwich on the platform and you wanted to come with him. Just because he's eating a sandwich on the platform. All these have eaten on the platform. Maybe not on the train, but on the platform, really?
All the way down here
like looking for a reason.
You watched me come up here. I didn't come down here to see you. Yes, you did.
You came all the way from down there to single him out because he's eating a sandwich.
I'm eating a sandwich.
You're giving him a ticket for eating?
That's. I left it in my car, but my number and my name is there. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go on about my business.
Well, hang on 1 second for me.
I'm sorry.
You're being detained.
I'm not being detained.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Don't move.
Don't move. Why am I being detained is the question. Why am I being?
We've had a lot of break-ins recently.
But I'm clearly not breaking into anything.
We don't often have people walking up and down driveways.
Because people aren't.
What kind of business is it?
It's not important, sir.
You're in any trouble?
Then I'm gonna go.
No, you're being detained.
You just said I'm not in any trouble. I'm gonna walk away, sir. You just said I'm investing.
Stop walking away.
Why do you keep touching me?
Stop walking away from me.
See, but why am I being detained? That's the question. Because of what?
For an investigation.
Of what? It is Sunday. I'm clearly not breaking into anything.
We don't have many people going up knocking on doors.
Many black people, huh?
Anybody.
Look, I'm not committing any crimes.
Okay.
Then I should not be detained.
Your name.
It's on the card. You have my card and my number. Yes, sir. Artur Love Jr. Okay. You have a good day, please.
All right, if you quit walking away from
Dude.
I'm telling you, I'm trying to work with you.
You're not. You're trying to bother me.
Absolutely not.
You're clearly trying to bother me.
Not one bit.
What do you need, sir? I just gave you my name and my number. I don't have to give that information to you. Because I'm not committing any crimes. You and me both know that.
Well, I don't know that.
I just told you what I'm doing. You seen me put my card. I'm going up and down driveways.
Stop for me right there. I honk at you.
I have headphones in my ear.
Okay,
You're the one causing problems, not me.
How am I causing any problems?
Because you stopped me and I'm obviously minding my own business. I'm not bothering anybody. See, I'm not bothering anybody.
I'm just trying to get a little information.
I just gave you a little information, right? I gave you my card and my name.
What is your date of birth?
I don't have to give you that information, sir.
How about your social?
I don't have to give you that information, sir.
Okay, why not?
Because I'm not committing any crimes. You're saying you're doing an investigation on robberies. I'm clearly not robbing anybody. That's what you said. You said a break-ins, robberies, that's the same thing.
Sir, we've had issues with break-ins.
Okay.
Okay, robberies and break-ins are two completely different things.
Well, I'm not doing either one of those.
Okay. 513 Adam, I'm 1086. Okay, sir, what's the deal?
The deal is you're stopping me and I'm trying to promote my business and make some money. That's it. It's not important. You're not curious. You're being a typical police officer to a black guy. That's all it is.
I'm just talking with you.
You have this smirk on your face and
because you're being ridiculous.
I'm being ridiculous and so are you.
How am I being ridiculous?
Like you didn't see me do anything wrong other than walk around. Since when is that a crime though?
It's not a crime.
Exactly. Then why am I being detained?
Because I'm trying to find out why you're walking up and down.
I just told you. You're backpedaling.
I'm not gonna argue with you, all right?
That's what you're doing. Like I'm not bothering you. You're bothering me. You're supposed to be serving and protecting, but you're harassing me.
Asking you a few questions, sir.
You're harassing me. I gave you my name and my card. You can look me up on Facebook or in the system or whatever you need to do. I don't have to give you my social, my date of birth, or any of that. I'm not committing any crime, sir. So if you don't mind, I would like to just go on about my business. Please.
If that's what you'd like to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
We don't want to drink out in the street anymore? We don't want to drink out in the street?
I don't drink. I'm 3.5 years sober.
You're 3.5 years sober?
3.5 years sober.
Okay, so why do we have an attitude?
Because you keep riding through here, staring at me. I asked you if you have a problem.
It's my job to address conditions in this
What
precinct.
conditions?
Drinking,
What conditions?
congregating on the
I'm
sidewalk.
not drinking. I'm standing here in front of an iPad, not bothering anyone.
It doesn't matter. You can stand in front of an iPad, but you can't drink out here.
I don't drink. What part of 3.5 years sober don't you understand?
I didn't say you were drinking. I'm saying the group you're with was drinking.
I don't see anybody drinking.
Okay.
I don't see anybody drinking. I don't see nobody drinking.
There's one right there. There's one over there.
About what happened out here
made it hot
yesterday.
for all your friends that were drinking.
I don't speak that language. Speak to me.
So like
in
I just
proper
told you,
English.
that's why we're here right now.
So that's why you're here.
Because everybody's
All right,
drinking.
so now you can get in your car and leave me alone.
Not. I'm going to hang out right here for a little bit.
Do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Can I see your badge and your ID?
Yep. In fact, it's time to go. You can't congregate on the sidewalk.
I can't congregate on the sidewalk.
Yep.
I can't stand here on the sidewalk. So
Actually, no, you cannot stand by the sidewalk and set it up like it's your living room.
This is not my living room.
I know. So you need to get yourself off of here, and you need to keep it moving.
I can walk up and down this block all night.
You can.
I can walk
You
up
can
and
walk
down
up
this
and down,
block
but you're
all
not.
night.
You're standing here.
Okay.
You're not walking
Well,
up and
I'll
down.
walk.
So get your stuff, put it in your backpack, and start walking up and down the block.
It's just nothing.
Okay?
It's just people flexing for no reason. That's it, for no reason.
Nah, there's
This
nothing
is
to
my
flex
neighborhood
about. Okay?
where I live.
So get your
all the
stuff
time.
and put it in your laptop, and then you can go.
You can't congregate in the
I'm not congregating. I'm sitting down talking to someone.
So
you're
get your stuff.
I'll get my stuff. Can I see
do it
your
right now.
ID? Can I see your ID?
You're gonna see my ID.
Yeah, I'd love to see your ID.
Okay?
I'd love to see all of your IDs.
Put it inside.
Okay. I'd love
Sir,
to
let me see
all
your
of
ID.
IDs. That's not a problem at all. Can I see
Drop
your ID,
something and
please?
we need your
That's
ID.
not mine. It's not mine.
Okay, then we
Not
need your
mine.
ID.
I'd like to see your ID.
You're gonna have it on your summons.
I would like to see for what?
Okay? I just told you.
For what?
For refusing to move when you're congregating on the sidewalk. You're blocking the sidewalk. Literally, it's not a debate.
You gonna
Let me
give
see
me
your
a
ID.
summons.
Let me see your ID or are you going in
That's perfect.
handcuffs? Let me
That's
see your
perfect.
ID or you're going in handcuffs.
Wait a fucking minute and you'll see my ID.
Let me see your ID.
Wait a minute
or
and
you're going
you'll
in
see my
handcuffs.
ID.
I already asked you 3
Nobody
times.
cares. Nobody
Already asked you
cares
3
about your
times.
threats. I was locked up on Monday
That's
for shutting
not a
down the
threat.
FDR. Nobody cares.
I don't care
Nobody
what you
cares.
do.
You
I
do
don't
not
care
scare
what
me.
you do.
You do not scare me. This is my neighborhood. My neighborhood. So write your ticket. Do whatever you do. Have fun. Have fun.
We're not
You
having
don't move
fun. We're
me.
just doing
Have
our
fun.
job.
Doing your job. Riding up and down this block, staring at people. Staring at people. Write your ticket. Write your ticket. Write
Yeah, we're
your
getting
ticket.
96.
Write your ticket. That's what the problem is. Nobody's scared to go to jail. Nobody gives a fuck about them or their presence. These are our neighborhoods. These are our neighborhoods. We've been here forever. Forever. Write me a ticket.
Forever, huh?
Write me a ticket.
Forever.
Write
huh?
me. I knew him since I was a kid.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. These are our neighborhoods. Yeah, it happens. Where you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up? Where? Nobody got shot in your neighborhood? You never knew anybody who got shot? Stop it. You think you one of these white boys? You're not. When they catch you without your badge and your gun, they can't see it. They're going to shoot you like they shot the cop up in motherfucking White Castle. A black hero.
You're
a racist to who? I cannot be racist. I don't have the power to be racist.
You're a hypocritical.
I do not have the power to be racist. How?
You're a hypocritical racist.
How?
You just judged him by the color of his skin.
I asked him where he was from.
You just said
you're not smart enough to talk to me. You're not smart enough to make the.
You just judged him by the color of his skin.
White boys.
You're a racist.
He thinks he's one of these white boys. He does. No, my doctorate degree says that I'm educated.
What?
That's what my doctorate degree says.
Doolittle, right?
My Juris Doctorate. My Juris Doctorate. And my business degree say that I'm educated. Wow. So write the ticket. Why are you wasting my time? Why are you wasting my time? If I was racist, I'd call you a cracker. Cracker. Yeah, I just did it. I just did it. Yeah, I'll be that. I'll be that. You treat me like a nigga, I'll call you a cracker. How about that? How about that? How about that? Hey, take out your phone and record.
Stand there. You're getting a summons. You're not walking around.
Stop touching me. Stop touching me. Stop touching me. Why are you touching me? Why are you touching me? Why are you touching me?
Because you're moving.
Don't move. Don't start walking around.
Let's go.
You're a fucking sellout.
Yeah.
You know who calls me?
Who calls
you know who calls me?
Who calls
Cops call me to talk about how racist this piece of shit system is. That's what I get in my inbox. Fucking cops complaining about other cops. Like, oh, I know you're right. Why don't you stand up and do something about it? You surrounded by these white boys. You'll never get promoted. They'll get promoted. You'll never get promoted. All this shit for one man. For one man. I'll be that. You treat me like a nigga, I'll call you a cracker. How about that? You treat me like a nigga, I'll call you a cracker. Take that.
Damn.
Dickhead.
Here you go, sir.
All that size, you should have did something better with your life. I was an All-American.
You can put this on the wall with your,
All-American.
Three
look like
documents,
All-American.
right? With your three
like
documents.
No. I got. You know which other one I could put it next to? The one where they were taking my bullhorn and I said, "Fuck the police," and I say that proudly, surrounded. Fuck the police, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Patrick Edmonds Jr., a police officer, will not be charged in the shooting of a woman who hurled racial slurs and threatened to attack him with a pair of scissors. He will not be charged in this case. Here to give us more insight on this story is Dr. Ua Thompson. Dr. Thompson, the tables in this story are turned a little bit because the officer is African American and the woman who was shot and killed, who was threatening him, is a Caucasian lady. Give us the backstory on what happened here.
Certainly, Nietzsche. This story is a break from what have been considered normal routine, seemingly, in American law enforcement concerning law enforcement involved in shooting of individuals. However, in this case, it is a black officer, as you have said, who received a 911 call and was responding to that call at the hotel where a woman was reportedly exhibiting erratic behavior with a pair of scissors, threatening and people, as well as hurling all kinds of demeaning and derogatory language. He shows up and he commences to try and talk her down from this situation, to try as best he could to de-escalate the situation. However, she began to exhibit even more erratic behavior and then charged at Officer Edmonds with the pair of scissors, which I would note, Nietzsche, at that point, it became a matter of life and death. He had no other choice but to use deadly force in subduing her. And so the district attorney and all of those involved have exonerated him and have ruled that he followed procedure and protocol. I think Mrs. Rupert's cousin was concerned that excessive force was used and that he could have used something of a taser to subdue her. But his response, and I agree with him, she was on drugs and he had tried to help her. He had tried to get her some help. And oftentimes when individuals are on drugs, these drugs can make one very psychotic. And I have seen and read where people have even moved forward against a taser several times on certain types of narcotics. So I think he did the right thing by defending and protecting himself.
It's interesting in this case because we're in the midst of what we often talk about is an epidemic of hearing cases where an unarmed black person was shot and killed. It seems like something different every single month. So this story is interesting because the tables are flipped here. And on top of that, you have a situation where there's a possibility that this woman was under the influence in some capacity, and it ultimately resulted in her death. So just speak to that, what you feel like the pulse is of the community, and this being a situation where the roles are flipped. Give that to me in about 30 seconds or less, Dr. Thompson.
Well, the roles are flipped, not just that he's a black man and she's a white woman, but the roles are flipped in that she had a weapon, and most of these innocent black lives that have been taken did not have a weapon. And I think that is the stark contrast between this case and the others.
A Navy veteran in the hospital after a night on the town. He claims that he was targeted because of his race. Welcome to News 8 at 5. I'm John McKay.
And I'm Cynthia Aguirre. As Dallas police investigate that violent beating, the victim is demanding action from a popular club. Let's go live to Damon Fernandez with the latest. Damon?
Well, Cynthia, right now, both Dallas police and club management are investigating exactly what happened back here in this club. Jalen Bell claims he and a friend were already leaving the strip club when things took a very violent turn. His eyes black and bruised, ribs fractured, and body in serious pain.
My whole body is sore.
And Jalen Bell claims they're injuries he suffered after being attacked by a group of security guards here at XTC Cabaret in Dallas early Sunday morning.
People think it can't happen to them, and it can happen to you. And it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling.
During a press conference with his wife Logan and civil rights attorney Lee Merritt, the 24-year-old Navy vet and college student claims he was at the strip club with a friend who was visiting town. They were on the club's second level, preparing to leave when his friend had to use the restroom. Bell says while waiting, a patron in the VIP area put out a cigarette in their drink. That led to an argument. He says security first grabbing his friend.
The security guards told him, go on and you'll get it too. He says, please just let my friend go. Next thing you know, he was grabbed by the trachea, slammed to the ground, and they began choking.
Bell claims it was a group of white security officers who severely attacked him while hurling racial slurs. With so many cameras around the club, Bell's lawyers asking any video of the assault be preserved and the security officers' names revealed.
I want to see these guys brought to justice, but I still have a lot of love in my heart.
Shortly after Bell and his attorney wrapped up a press conference outside the club, an XTC Cabaret manager and worker called police to the business. The company released a statement saying, XTC Cabaret Dallas has a zero-tolerance policy for any kind of discrimination. Our club has a very diverse clientele, equally diverse management and staff, and has been in business a long time. Our initial understanding is that this incident involved what was deemed to be an unruly customer. We are continuing to investigate the incident internally and ask the community to be patient until that is concluded. And Bell's attorney says he is planning to file a lawsuit against XTC Cabaret and each of those security guards once their identities are revealed.
Racist graffiti is found in the bathroom of the North Suburban School.
This can't happen, and we need to be an example. Being the most diverse school, we need to be an example for other schools that this isn't okay. There is no supremacy or anything. We are all one.
Pictures of the graffiti popped up on social media Wednesday night and show the words "whites only" scrawled on the stall door in a first-floor girls' bathroom at the campus juniors and seniors attend. Nothing was reported at the school for lower-classmen.
My mom first heard about it, then everybody in the family just started texting me everything was okay. And I told them everything was okay, but they still came and got me.
The discovery not only prompted concerns for student safety, but also an investigation by local officials who at this point don't know who's responsible for the offensive message. School officials notified parents by email about the incident. Warren Township High School has a total student body of roughly 4,200, of which 30% Latino, 10% African American, and 5% Asian.
We have a really
great student body that's supportive of one another. So when we get racial slurs or anything that's hateful in nature, we take it seriously.
This cell phone video captures the school's principal talking to those students who staged a sit-in reaction to the vandalism, which some here blame on the results of the recent presidential election.
I guess it all kind of goes back to like Trump's election. If this is like only, he's not even president yet, and this is already happening.
Regardless of the reason, these students say they're not going to tolerate hate.
Our school mirrors the population of Illinois. That is absolutely unacceptable, and we were not standing for it today.
Although many in this school community say they are disappointed and concerned about this message of hate, they say it's also a great opportunity to talk about tolerance and inclusion.
Governor Cuomo has ordered an investigation, and Syracuse University is condemning racial slurs found on the 4th and 6th floors of a residence hall.
Now that comes as those with the student organization on campus met to discuss how to move forward. News Channel 9's Adrian Smith was at tonight's meeting and has this update.
According to the university, racial slurs turned up here at Day Hall, specifically on the 4th and 6th floors.
Any form of prejudice, we have to tackle it as a community.
And now one student organization discussing ways to move forward.
We thought that we were the best organization to present this atmosphere for students to come in and talk about ways we could fix issues on our campus.
The Juvenile Urban Multicultural Program, also known as JUMP, it's a group where college students mentor local middle and high school students.
We're not just going to be expressing our feelings tonight. We're actually going to express solutions, reactions, and things that we can, steps that we can take, to not have this happen in the future.
Those who attended shared their feelings about the incidents, and they want SU to take action. Most of them looking for communication and transparency.
And the issue that really lies with us, regardless of the slurs, is that issue was not presented to the campus as a whole.
It was people that I know, friends of mine, that brought this to my attention, and when my friends were upset, it made me upset as well.
And Monday night's meeting is just the first step.
We here, which is a start, but we just don't need to be here. There needs to be a next step.
All of them determined to push for change. The Syracuse University Residence Hall Association will be hosting an open forum tomorrow night from 8 to 10. It will be held in Lyman Hall, room 132, and everyone is welcome to attend. Rob?
Adrian, thank you. Syracuse University, as Department of Public Safety, wants anyone with information to give them a call at 315-443-2224. In a letter to the SU community tonight, the vice president for the SU Student Experience saying in part, quote, "We condemn all racist language and actions. We remain focused on being a welcoming and inclusive campus environment, free of intolerance, bigotry, and prejudice."
And racist graffiti greeting Starbucks customers.
This is disgusting. I feel sick to my stomach.
New at 11, the concern over the way this local store handled it. The vandal targeted both sides of a highly visible Starbucks sign in Federal Way, and one concerned customer tagged Starbucks on Facebook asking why the hate speech wasn't covered up immediately. Now, she spoke only with Cairo 7's Gary Horker, and Gary, she considered covering it up herself.
She did. She figured she or somebody at Starbucks should certainly take action immediately and cover up what was on this sign. She said the hate speech on it could be clearly seen by everybody in the drive-thru and everybody driving by Pack Highway South. She didn't want a racist graffiti symbol here to be associated with a company she respects.
It hurt my heart.
When Char Bennett saw the racist statement painted on the sign of her local Starbucks, she tagged the company on Facebook.
This is disgusting. I feel sick to my stomach.
I was shocked.
Both sides of the sign had been tagged, and at 9 a.m. Halloween morning, it was in full view for thousands of passing cars on Pacific Highway South.
Yeah, if I would have had something to cover it up, I would have.
Char alerted the Starbucks staff.
She said that they'd already cleaned it off, and I said, well, it's back on there.
So whoever tagged the sign might have returned to do it again.
Felt like I was in the twilight zone because people were just going about their business.
Char reached out to Starbucks again, urging them to remove or cover up something she said was upsetting customers and passersby.
Stop with the coffee orders, stop what you're doing. Like, there's nothing more important than getting that off of your sign.
Eventually, Federal Way police took a report and the staff cleaned the statement off of the sign.
And I did get a message from Starbucks that they dealt with it.
But in the right light, the outline can still be seen.
Light hits it, you can still see it.
Definitely see. Shar says she's a huge Starbucks fan, and her anger is directed at the vandal and not at the company, but she figures there should be a protocol when hate speech appears on their property.
Afterwards, I wasn't sure if that was the right thing to do, but I'm glad I did it.
Well, back here live at Federal Way, we reached out to Starbucks corporate, didn't get an immediate response, but we understand this location's been tagged before. Federal Way PD is hoping to catch the vandal. It's worth noting that other jurisdictions around us have treated similar tagging as hate crimes.
The search continues tonight for who broke in and spray painted racist graffiti all over a local barber shop. Emma Henderson spoke with the owner tonight and has a look at how community members are showing their love. Emma.
Christy, you can see in this picture there are huge letterings in a racist word plus the words "get out," taking up more than the entire length of one wall. But the owner has decided to keep his doors open to spark conversation and to make sure the vandals don't win by taking away business.
You know, you always hear about it, but you never think that it can happen to you. And by me experiencing it, I'm like, wow, this really did happen to me.
The owner of Finishing Touch Hair Pros knew something was wrong when he pulled up to work Monday afternoon because the door to his business was pried open. Then he turned the corner.
It's just sad that racism still exists in this day and age and time. And it's just sad to say that I don't really think it's going anywhere. And we're not going anywhere either.
The owner chose not to show his face because it's an open investigation. He filed a police report and decided the vandals don't get to win. They don't get to shut down his business, so he opened Tuesday like normal, with the spray paint still on the walls.
I left that up and didn't fix it right away for a reason, because I wanted people to see the reality of what's really going on out here in this world. So that's why I left it.
A regular customer took a photo of the wall and posted it on Facebook Friday afternoon, causing it to go viral. His post leading multiple people to come into the business for the first time to show some love to their neighbor.
We're not going anywhere. It's not going to deter us. It's just sad. Minor setback for a major comeback.
Insurance is going to cover the repairs, while police are still looking for the vandals, and since going viral, people in the community have offered to pick up paintbrushes themselves to cover the hate as a community.
For a community to embrace you like that, and we never knew that the community, accepted us like this, like they have, it just means a lot. It makes us feel good, and it just makes us feel welcome now, and it makes us feel a lot better.
And he has a message for the vandals.
Put down a spray paint can, pick up a Bible. That's what you need to do.
The owner plans to have a big community event to celebrate once the store is fully repaired.
Put down the spray paint and pick up the Bible. I love that final thought there. What was it like while you were in there with the customers coming in and that in the room?
Well, actually, there were lots of new people coming in for haircuts or just dropping by to show their support. They didn't really want to talk on camera. They just believed that they were doing the right thing for one of their neighbors.
It's great to see the community come out like that. Thank you, Emma, for the story. Now, unfortunately, this isn't the only racist graffiti or actions we've seen this year. In March, 19 employees at the UPS distribution center in Maumee say they were working in a hostile and racist environment. They reported being called racist slurs and being passed up for promotions. In February, someone tagged a home with racist graffiti. The home was for sale at the time. The realtor believes the graffiti was targeting potential buyers. And in January, 7 workers filed a suit against the GM powertrain plant in West Toledo, the employees claiming a culture of racial harassment and bullying.
New tonight, continued grief for the family of Tatiana Jefferson, the woman shot to death in her home last month by a Fort Worth police officer. Loved ones tell us that her father, Marquise Jefferson, had a heart attack and died earlier this evening in Dallas. Now, we heard from him last month during his fight for rights to plan Tatiana's funeral. In a statement this evening, his family said he died of a broken heart, and they asked for prayers.
Well, it's one of the most popular street names in America, but in one place it's become a source of major controversy. Let's check in with Natisha Lance for more on this city squabble.
Well, Ron, you go to most major cities across the country and you'll see a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name on highways as well as roads. So that is unless you're in Kansas City. Voters there decided to remove his name from a historic boulevard and change it back to its old name.
The Paseo, as the street will be called again, is also historic. The 10 miles of road in the city's mostly black east side was the first boulevard in the city. It dates back more than 100 years. 70% of voters decided to keep the history and strip MLK's name from the street, just 9 months after the city council voted for it. Civil rights leaders had pushed for more than a year to find a way to honor Dr. King in one of few U.S. cities without a street named for him. According to the New York Times, most of the black residents in the area never wanted the name change in the first place, despite some who thought critics of the change led by the group Save the Paseo were motivated by racism. More than 1,000 roadways bear Dr. King's name. At least 955 are in the U.S., including Georgia. That's according to National Geographic. Atlanta's Martin Luther King Drive winds through the heart of the city. It was dedicated to King in 1976, not far from where he grew up and preached at Ebenezer Baptist Church. It is reportedly one of 75 other streets and roads in Georgia that honor Dr. King.
Now, those in Kansas City wanting to save the Paseo say it's not about race. They want to find some other way to honor Dr. King in Kansas City.
Heartache comes to the two women in Imitation of Life because of their daughters. And for the black woman, the great heartache comes when her daughter decides to cross the color line and pass for white. The director, John Stahl, was determined to find a white-looking black actress to play this light-skinned young black woman. They turned their eyes to New York City, and that's where they saw Freddie Washington. And Freddie Washington was known as the girl with the boy's name, the black girl with the green eyes, the black girl who looked white. Early in her career, she had been urged to pass for white, that she would have a chance at a big career, and she refused. She said, in essence, she could never be anything other than what she was.
There's nothing to be scared of. I'm friendly. I'm cute, right?
No, man, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
All right, man.
I appreciate it.